Well, um, the funeral has happened. By this point, I'm back for the evening. It was an eventful day, though not much happened, but still more happened today of significance and change than happens on a usual day. So I have more to talk about, I guess. And some I will and some I won't, because I still don't know exactly what's going on and how it's going to turn out. And it's like, I don't know. But I was glad for the people that were here, And like I said, it was a small gathering. And I was actually surprised there were more people there that I didn't know about. And it's like, and I vaguely recognized a few of them. It's like I must have met them occasionally throughout my entire life, but I would have never remembered their names. It's like, oh yeah, it's like I've met you before once or twice throughout my entire life, and but I've never had a conversation with them. But they showed up at the funeral, which is more than what a lot of people did, just because it was just all of a sudden, but not it was expected, but it was all of a sudden. And so there were no large gatherings like when I was a kid and all her brothers and sisters and all the children and the extended relatives, So it was like, like large holiday things. It was like, for us, our family, 30 people. It was a lot. But anyway, but most important person for me that was here was my brother, my only brother, my favorite brother. And he has always been, I don't know what role he plays. I know what role he used to play and the role I assigned to him and the role that he volunteers to play, whether he assigned it to himself or found that it was just his responsibility. I'm somehow part of his job that he has assigned himself. Being the older brother, I don't know. Or I just appear to be somebody that needs a little bit extra support, which is exactly true. So it's like I will not shy away or refuse extra help if it is being offered. Not from him. Well, though sometimes I'll fight him on it a little bit. It's like I'm not. Because sometimes he tries to do a little bit more, and it's like it's not really all that necessary. Helping sometimes with problems that I don't consider problems. They might be a problem that he identifies, but for me, it's just like it's how I do things. It works for me. It might not be efficient, and it might not be the best way, but it's the way I like and I've chosen, and it's like it's not a problem for me. So, because sometimes I've felt that solving problems that aren't actually problems to the other person, it's not solving, it's creating problems. And so, I don't know. But if he enjoys that sort of thing, like troubleshooting life, leave him. But anyway, he was here for the most important part, which was, besides just being my brother and my mother's other son, just handling things and being a stable element. And I also was acting in that same capacity or role on my end. So it's like neither one of us were exactly always operating at peak levels of being okay. Like there were stress fractures and bits of impatience and frustration with things that don't automatically give themselves over to being understandable and relatable as far as procedurals, how things get done in this sort of situation, because we're not experienced, we don't know how to do things, who to talk to, how to get information about closing accounts and dealing with property and things like that. We're not experts. We don't have much practice with it, so we rely on intelligence and resource gathering and talking to people. And if people aren't willing to talk, or they're not at liberty to say until certain material is produced, which isn't done yet, because the funeral is just today. So we need to learn as we go and not get too impatient, because it takes time. So in some of those moments, I was like, I'm a calming presence, and then some of the more other moments, he's same thing. So together we are more present than separate in this situation. And of course, each of us have our own perspective on the departed, and our feelings and memories in the situation might differ a little bit from some other people's. But I was glad to be able to be here. Glad I'm afforded the ability, and am the person able to do that. Because not that long ago, things are getting easier for me. No, I wouldn't say they're easy. They're getting easier for me to negotiate. Whether or not I like that ability, actually have that ability now, that choice. I have that choice of whether I'm going to try or whether I'm not. And most of the time, it's like I have to try. Well, I don't have to, but I feel like I want to. And it doesn't mean that I'm always going to be, whatever measure of success that, or however I'm measuring success today, because that just changes. What do I decide is passing today versus passing tomorrow? So, but it was a good day, even with the circumstances and everything like that. It was still good to see some people that I hadn't seen in a while, seen how time has affected people. I'm sure it was interesting to see how time has affected me. I have no idea. I barely recognize myself in some older photos of myself, It's only like 10 years ago. 10 years ago. And it's like, I don't look the same. And I think it's just because my face has just gotten more gaunt. I think so. It used to be fuller or something. So my facial structure has changed a little bit. Or at least that's how it appears in photos. Because I saw a photo of myself from 10 years ago. And it's like, who's that? It's like, is that me? I was confused. It was a weird moment. It's like, that has to mean I have that shirt. And it's like, yeah, that's me. And it took me like a moment of recognition, because it was from before my own incident, except I survived. That's another story. First person has lived as much of a sheltered and insulated life as I claim to have done. I sure do have a lot of stories. And I guess I do. Maybe I'm not as sheltered as I thought. Maybe that's just part of my own mythos or something. I don't know. But anyway, I'm still in the hotel room. And this is my second night. And part of this evening, I was out of nowhere. I was at a dinner in Virginia that I went to, and then I was driven back here, and I was invited back to go to a movie. It would involve me having to drive back to Virginia, and so I got back here, and I was like, I took a little bit of a nap. I had to shut down for a little bit, and then I decided, no, I think I'll do that. I'll drive back. I'll go. My maps on my phone were not working, and I had never been there before, so I didn't know the way, and I wasn't paying attention when I was being driven before. So I was trying to go by memory, but I wasn't paying attention. So I got lost, and I called my brother for directions, and the reception on my phone wasn't working very well, and things weren't working in my favor because time was running out, and the movie was starting, and it was the kind where it was a Alamo the kind where they serve you food or something while the movie's being shown, and everybody's has to be quiet. It's like really comfortable seats or something. It's like a high quality art house cinema kind of thing. I've never been to one, but my brother swears by them, and I'd never been. So it's like I seem like after as many times as I've heard him talk about them, it's like, well, this isn't my chance. I'll go, and then I didn't because it got to be after the time, and by then I was just kind of stressed out from getting lost and feeling a bit dumb, and the reason I realized after the fact on my way back is because my phone is relying on the same accounts as this new device, and I don't know why, and it was asking me to sync up my devices, and I was like, no, I don't want to do that. I don't need to do that. And I didn't sync up the devices, and when I got back out to my car, and my phone it didn't know, and because it all of a sudden I was into this device, and then my phone wasn't working right because it was also there's like an identity theft prevention system was being flagged because multiple people were using the same account or something, and so this one had priority, and then my phone was now the secondary or something. I'm not sure. I'm still figuring it out. Giving myself my own credentials, and I think I'm okay to talk about this kind of stuff because it's far enough into the video that no one's ever watching anyway. But and I'm not saying anything of any interest except to myself. It's just what I was doing the evening of after the funeral, and I hadn't been out to that graveyard since the last funeral that I was at, and that was my grandmother, my mom's mom, and that was only 10 years ago. So my mom's mom died in 2013, and then my mom 10 years later. So they're all buried there in the same patch of ground. I am thinking about, well, nothing's set in stone, but a nice bonfire would be fine, probably for me. I don't know. It's just one of those things, it's hard to think about and just like really think about. It's like, it's not just a passing thought, but really think about it. It's like, yeah, it's the way I think about it is as far as like death goes. It's like I think people are scared of death or don't want, because they think, well, they believe that they might miss being alive once you're dead. And it's like, yeah, that's one way to think about it, I guess. Or if people realize that that's what they're thinking, that they're going to miss being alive once they're dead. And it's like, I think about it. And it's like, I didn't miss being alive before I was born. It's like all those, depending on what you believe, all those, billions of years. And it's like, and then humans are only around for, modern humans. What is it? Anatomically modern humans or behaviorally modern humans for just such a short amount of time. So, anyway, before I existed, I didn't miss not existing. Or I wasn't waiting to exist. It's like, oh, now's my time to shine. Because if I was waiting all this time to have this life, well, I sure didn't mess it all up. No, this is my first life. This is my first time. This might not be a good excuse for making mistakes, but it's as good of an excuse as anybody else has. I have no basis of or framework of deciding what is a good life or a bad life. I just know that I'm trying to live the best one I know how, and to now. Because before I definitely wasn't, and I knew it, and I had to get out of that life, and I desperately wanted out. And somehow I got out. Not everybody gets that chance. I've heard that they say that, I might get this wrong, that mercy is getting something you don't deserve. And grace is not getting what you do deserve. I think that's right. Or either that's backwards, I don't know. If it sounds right, then it's right. If it sounds wrong, then just ignore me. Or reverse it. So, it was a social day. Every day's a social day. And I'm not good at social. And I was a little bit heartbroken when I was talking to my brother about how I've been integrating and adopting and becoming more tolerant of being identified and regarding myself as autistic. And I don't know. I kind of got a little bit of well, everybody's a little autistic reaction. Because I mentioned about, the spectrum and stuff like that. And he mentioned that he's a little bit on the spectrum too. And I guess it just comes from a lack of education, really. I guess that's the nicest way to put it, I suppose. But really, when you look into a lot of people can identify with it. They can relate. And so they start to just believe that, well, maybe I am. And I start to wonder, it's like, is being autistic like the next cool thing that people are just going to start assigning themselves? It's like, I had an awkward childhood. I must be autistic. Or something, I don't know. And they like, to what end? And it's like, I don't know. It's like a fashion. It's like autistic, is that like a now a fashion? And then people are gonna it won't be a very popular fashion. It won't last long. Because, oh my gosh, I don't want to have to learn to be normal just to not. Oh, it's confusing. But anyway, this is a new device. So, sorry for the face I probably just made. It's terrible. But that's me yawning. But I'm tired. So, video quality is suspect. But this is a new device that my brother gave to me. And he had another one. And he was planning on swapping this one back out. But he found out that I was still using the one that I've been using. And he was like, "You want a new one?" I was like, "Okay." So it's a hand-me-down. So it's much more advanced in so many ways. So the picture quality is probably a lot better, which is not good because I like it a little bit blurry because then you can't see me as well. So I don't know about this whole resolution thing, but we'll see how it goes. So anyway, I guess that's all I got. I didn't really say much. It's just me unwinding, talking.